Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Industries Live. It's my absolute favorite time of the week. We have a very exciting show for you today. I'm coming to you live from Seattle, Washington. The sun is out. Spring has sprung here in Seattle. People think it rains here all the time, but I can tell you it doesn't. It's absolutely gorgeous outside, so everybody's in a good mood. Very, very excited about two incredible partner stories that we're going to bring to you today. We're going to be talking hyper-personalization. We're going to also be talking about live events. So I've been really looking forward to this one. So Industries Live, if it's your first time, this is it's a wonderful time that we get together every couple of weeks to talk about industries, what we're seeing in industries, what our partners are seeing in their businesses, the industry dynamics, what's changing, what's happening, what they're seeing on the horizon, future innovation, and we really get sort of down and into the nitty-gritty of some of their great customer stories. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce my co-host, Gregoire. Welcome, Gregoire. Very excited to have you join me today. How are you?
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. I'm calling in from sunny Los Angeles here. We rarely worry about rain, and today is as per usual. Beautiful. I'm Gregoire Rouyer. I lead partner strategy for broadcast and sports at AWS, and I'm excited about today.
Awesome. Gregoire, and I should introduce myself as well. Michael Schmidt is my name. I look after the Industry and Partner Solutions Center of Excellence tech team based here in Seattle, but we work with our customers and partners across the globe to help bring their solutions to life on AWS, help build and be successful on the platform, and ultimately help solve those really specific and industry-specific customer problems and really disrupt industries and kind of lead the disruption of industry paradigms to really innovate and accelerate. So the partners we're talking about today fit that category very well. Very, very excited to be talking to them. So why don't, Gregoire, we'll start with you. Why don't you just give me a little bit of, we're going to be talking a little bit about hyper-personalization this morning, and why don't you give me a little bit about what are we talking about there?
Yeah, so we have two exciting partners this morning. The first one, TGI Sports, really is bringing the ability to broadcasters to insert ads in a non-disruptive manner. When you're watching a sporting event, sometimes you're going to see popping on the surface of play an ad, and you're going to notice that the next quarter the ad is different. Well, most of the time that's going to be because our friends at TGI Sports are behind this, and they're bringing this virtual ad insertion capability to broadcasters. Now, this has been done for a while, and they're going to explain this in more details. But the very exciting part now that we're getting, thanks to AWS, if we do the insertion on AWS, we can actually target and personalize these ads. So you can get, a personalized version of the show that is essentially produced just for you.
Nice. Well, why don't we bring in our partners and let's introduce them and talk a little bit about. We'll get the conversation going. So, welcome, Sam and Kevin. Welcome to Industries Live. So exciting to have you on with us. Why don't we start with just perhaps you can introduce yourselves. Maybe Sam, do you want to start and just give us your introduction to yourself?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for having us. We're very excited to be here with you guys and as part of our partnership with AWS. So my name is Sam Chenillo. I've been involved in virtual advertising for honestly most of my life, since 1997, a long time. Gregoire mentioned it's been around for a while, and it's been a long evolution. I've had the pleasure of both witnessing and contributing to the evolution of virtual. I started working fresh out of college at a company called PVI in the Mexican, I grew up in Mexico, so it was in Mexico City, licensee, the very first licensee. Then I moved up to the US and worked with PBI itself, and eventually created a company called Brand Brigade, which got acquired by TGI Sports to form TGI Tech. And now I'm a partner at TGI Tech.
Nice. And Kevin, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Gregoire. Thank you for having us. I'm Kevin Bovet. My background includes the Olympic movement and world governing bodies with FIBA, the International Basketball Federation, along with experience with top-tier US sports franchises at the Madison Square Garden company. And since 2018, I've joined the exciting sports media and entertainment technology industry, where I worked on a number of projects with AWS.
Nice. Thanks, Kevin. Gregoire, did you want to ask the first question to our partners here?
Sure, absolutely. Let's get started. So, can you tell us a little bit more about TGI Tech? The origin story and some background around the partnership between AWS and TGI Tech.
Yes, definitely. So we are a technology-driven sports media company, and we really focus on, one, creating commercial value for rights holders, delivering greater return to advertisers, and engaging audiences, which will be a key topic today. And we do so through pioneering technology solutions, expertise in global media rights, as well as a wealth of sports marketing knowledge, but also experience. If you look at that company, I think from the early days of TV visible signage visualization, there's really, really strong knowledge and experience that we're able to transfer into the next generation of our offering. And when it comes to our partnership with AWS, it really has been instrumental in our growth. We completed the different steps required to join the AWS Partner Network, including the FTR assessment and the MAP program. And if Gregoire, you want to speak a little bit about this, obviously you're more than welcome. And we would like to thank you for pushing us to get this done. We were shifting with priorities, and you were always pushing us, and we'd like to thank you, especially because most recently the collaboration culminated into a joint demo activation at NAB, which we'll be excited to touch on later today. So thanks again, Gregoire.
No, awesome. It's been a real pleasure to work with you, and that's what we do in the Partner Network. We're supporting companies who build on AWS and helping them to accelerate their growth on AWS. So that's we love helping great ideas come to reality.
Awesome. Well, perhaps let's throw that open to both Sam and Kevin. Tell us a little bit about, from the history of virtual advertising in sports, what is, give us a little bit of background so we can tee up. I'm interested to understand particularly, what you see as your value proposition and what the differentiators are for TGI Tech in your offerings.
Sure, I can start with a little bit of history. As I mentioned before, I've been honored to be a witness from the beginning and then be able to contribute and participate. And it's been an incredible ride, and it's an interesting arc to get to this point and to get to what AWS is helping now catalyze and multiply. So in the origin, we would have to, the very first time that the virtual ads were created, we had to take a truck to a sporting event and have about 4 refrigerators of size of gear, connect everything, in the very first steps, sensors to the camera, sensors to the truck, and data feed distributions everywhere, just to have a logo track on a wall. And back then that was that was pioneering, that was revolutionary. But that was extremely complicated. So we started by doing I think we did a soccer event, the Parmalat Cup, and then we did some baseball with, I think it was the Trenton Thunder and the Phillies, and it started to take off. And I think the very first massive virtual adoption was the first downline in football. So that has become kind of like a requirement for football nowadays. But that in the late 90s, well, really early 2000s, was I think the first major virtual enhancement that was applied, and it still has grown and permeated to this day. So back then we would have to have, as I mentioned, a huge amount of hardware connected on site. The evolution went from having that hardware to making a software only version of that during the 2000s. And then and Kevin, you can talk more about this, but one of the great benefits of virtual advertising is that you can create use spaces that are not physically able to be advertised or enhanced with virtual, or you can also create multiple iterations of such a feed. So in the middle of the 2000s, I think MLB was one of the first groups to use virtual to distribute around the world. So I think our high watermark was that we would do 6 different feeds of the same event with different ads, starting a moderate linear targeting. And from there, we took the technology and managed to separate being on site to actually perform the virtual operation in a remote location in a broadcast center. So that was another kind of revolution, where we were going from having a huge truck on site to instead of 3 refrigerators, 1 refrigerator on site, to then moving the refrigerator remote and having the video come in as a program feed into our system and being able to be processed. So that's a categorical change. Around those times is when Brand Brigade came about, and I think one of the key things we did is we were able to make virtual more accessible, so that it instead of being only the top 50 events that could get virtual, basically any event across the US or the world could get virtual inserted. And I think from there, the next step is up to then what was called the part of keying, where we cut out the people and insert the graphics behind them, was done in a similar way to the Weatherman, with a green screen or chroma keying effect. And in the later part of the 2015s to 2020s, AI came about, and that's been the next revolution in both quality and in opportunities, and that brought about what is called there's different ways of calling it, but the erase and replace, where in the initial stages we could only insert a logo on a surface or use a chroma key, such as with a Weatherman style keying. And with AI, we're able to actually have any background or any surface, determine the foreground, the background, and do actual replacements of what is there. So,
Sam, I was interested in the COVID factor, and I know that people talk to me a lot about what COVID did for the industry and how it drove. People think a lot about remote work, but there was a huge impact on remote production during COVID. Tell me a bit about what that meant for you.
Sure. So COVID was definitely a huge catalyst. I think it accelerated the adoption of, virtual has grown year over year tremendously, but COVID, I think, compressed 5 to 6 years of adoption into 1 year, because suddenly you had empty stadiums, empty arenas, and people who could not access, and the leagues needed revenue, and virtual came in as the solution for all these, where we would cover blocked off seats with virtual ads. We would be able to insert in different feeds and different locations for different markets, which has always been one of the benefits of virtual. But this allowed it to this kind of forced the hand for adoption, and that rapid acceleration of adoption has just continued since then.
Right. And I know, Kevin, you're going to talk to us a little bit about your own value prop, and I know you've got a video to show us to start with. So why don't we look at that?
Yes, thank you, Michael. So to simplify our offering, it really centers around 3 key points. One is the virtual advertising insertion, which you can see on the screen. And this is really seamlessly integrating advertisement into a live broadcast, whether it's on the field of play or its periphery, without disrupting the original feed. And so on the example, you see the steering wheel area along with the bridge are being augmented with ads insertion. As Sam alluded to, there's also the capacity of replacing existing ads. And this is really dynamically substituting existing advertisement with content that's targeted based on either a specific audience, region, or other parameters that rights holders can choose to. And our third value proposition is data-driven visualization. There's a wealth of sports data that exists, and we can help engage the audience with displaying, visual overlays that really enrich the fan experience. And we focus on these three propositions, capitalizing on three distribution methods. One is traditional and linear TV, which basically our technology integrates seamlessly into existing broadcast workflow to help unlock new revenue streams. The second distribution method we're extremely excited about is highlights. And this allows rights owners to carve out and enhance short form of content with dynamic ads in order to really capitalize on that form, which is extremely well consumed especially by youth audience nowadays. And probably the most exciting we have is DTC and streaming. And there the goal is really to power direct-to-consumer platforms with next-generation advertising capabilities. And Sam will talk about the demo that we did with you guys at NAB just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so that's and having seen the whole curve of up to now of virtual adoption, that is super exciting. So basically, we started with virtual being able to have the magic of replacing or inserting a logo. Then there was the ability in a linear feed to replace a whole set of logos, a whole set of areas. This is the next level, which is really it's really a revolution in advertising, because we're able to, in a natural, seamless, integrated way, in the context of the video you're seeing, whether it's a court, whether it's a wall, whether it's a whole a field, able to insert a customized asset just for you. So per IP, per device, every single device can watch a game. And in the same manner that AWS and different web devices can target you, we can target and serve content that's tailored 100% for you, naturally embedded seamlessly in the scene. So I don't know if we could run the quad of the demo with you guys, but this was at NAB. We basically connected our engine to AWS's 360 profiling, which can create 4 different profiles of a viewer and do everything from selling to merchandising to getting access to the event to customizing, which our case, we were customizing the experience, the visual experience. So this is obviously on a video game, on the Formula 1 video game, which is the same thing that we do, but it's the same technology that we use for live events. And here you can see it's the same. Top left is the original clean feed, and then the other 3 on the left, on the right bottom and right bottom are the customized targeted exposure that we generated that are based on a per IP per user experience. So each person gets their own profile and their own exposure, and this can be used for advertising or for enhancements. So you can actually follow your own player and get a customized feed of your own player throughout the game, which we find to be really the next level. I mean, it's a whole new level of media consumption and advertising. It's really exciting.
Hey,
and partner with AWS, it's a perfect.
Sorry, gentlemen, I didn't mean to interrupt. But just before we go to your next question, Greg, I just wanted to encourage everybody who's watching the live stream, please engage with us in the chat. I know there are people dialing in from all over the world that are viewing this is the incredible demos and discussions. So please engage with us in the chat and let us know where you are and what you're doing. Greg, why don't you go with the next question?
Sure. So I have two questions here. First, Sam, you mentioned at the beginning of the chat that the technology has changed a lot, since the multiple fridges on a truck to today doing this on AWS. Are we also, following these two catalysts, the COVID crisis and the rise of AI, really the explosion of AI in the past few years? Are we at a turning point in the virtual advertisement, technology adoption?
Yes, we're actually at an explosion. So there's a couple of things that come together. AI is making the whole process more precise, faster, more accurate with a smaller footprint, reducing things that we could do in computer vision in 50 milliseconds to 2 milliseconds. And the other component that's actually also, and there AWS helps us a lot. The other component that is actually also a huge change, and we see that adoption happening now, is that now we truly see cloud distribution happening for the broadcast world. And so the past 2 years, we would see a lot of like POCs and people thinking we should do this on the cloud. But now we actually are seeing that it's happening. It's going from a POC to production now. So we anticipate that this year or next year there'll be a huge amount of a huge usage of cloud, and AWS is leading in that space. So that's also very exciting, and that just simplifies the process. So you can, again, instead of having, it went down from like 5 refrigerators to 1 refrigerator to now it's just a PC. But we have the case of one of the major US broadcasters where they would like to use more virtual services, but they don't have any more footprint on their on-prem. They physically cannot fit more gear. And so that's one that just spinning up an instance with you guys is magic. It's a huge, so that'll be a huge catalyzer as well to keep on making access to virtual across the board.
Yeah, that's going to enable.
I'm sorry, Gregoire, you go.
Sorry, no, that's going to enable you to scale and to get this technology in the hands of more broadcasters. Michael, you had a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to double click on that, Samuel, just from your perspective. I hear you talking about lots of proof of concepts historically, and we're seeing a lot more of a trend of POC to production. Like, I'm just interested in, from your experience of what you've seen over the last couple of years, like what's been the secret to successfully getting to production rather than sort of getting stopped at proofs of concept? Like, if you based on the wisdom that you have now, like what would you advise customers to be doing differently to really accelerate that journey?
I mean, I think it's just mainly it's obsessive, insistent iteration, and pushing it. At the end of the day, everything's an iteration. So just keep on pushing forward, and hopefully have the right people and the right partners, and you get there. But that's honestly, being stubborn is the main.
Persistently stubborn.
I think there's definitely a pattern with successful adoption. One is that we found the most effective approach really involves a close collaboration between commercial, technology, and broadcast teams right from the beginning. This is really, really crucial for success. And then, as Sam said, the important step is to identify a very manageable scenario where virtual advertising can be tested. This is key to demonstrate how non-intrusive the process is, build comfort and confidence among all stakeholders involved, and then fine-tune placement, look and feel for maximum impact, and really establish standard operating procedures that will then come second nature to rights holders. And really, our recommendation is to start. Like, don't wait for an absolute perfect implementation workflow. Don't wait for a perfect commercial strategy. Both will evolve. So we've really observed that the most successful organizations are the ones who are taking the leap and adopt a really agile, learn as you go approach, if you will. And the great news is we have the expertise and the experience to fully accompany rights holders throughout their journey. And in some cases, we'll do this with you guys at AWS, which is very, very exciting. And I wanted to also touch on a third catalyst in the adoption of virtual, which is the constant globalization of sports. This is really a driver that fuels the adoption even further. Whether it's an American league expanding their reach internationally, or international properties that are gaining traction in the US market, these really offer cross-market initiatives and create amazing opportunities for targeted and localized virtual advertising that would not be possible with traditional signage alone, especially to maintain consistent branding, which is key for these leading sporting organizations.
Who do you see out the front there, Kevin, like in terms of which sporting organizations are really pushing the envelope? I mean, we obviously saw the Formula One example, but what other sporting franchises or sporting organizations do you see really kind of leading the charge on this?
I was gonna give the example of F1, definitely. You see the NBA pushing hard to continue the global expansion that have started a number of years ago. NFL, but then there's also organizations overseas that really try to capitalize on all that success in the US and that are contracting more and more media rights with US broadcasters, etc. So I think virtual advertising will see has really a bright future thanks to this, along with the improvements like AI we talked about earlier.
Amazing. I see in the chat we have people connecting from Luxembourg, Los Angeles, Charlotte, North Carolina, so and a lot of Formula One fans. So thank you for our Formula One fans for dialing in. I'm one of them. So if you have any love for Oscar Piastri, let me know in the chat. We're all very excited that he might have a shot at winning the World Championship this year, hopefully. Fantastic discussion, gentlemen. I know we're getting low on time. I feel like we could definitely talk for another 30 minutes. I'm wondering any last minute sort of thoughts from you, Gregoire. Anything else you wanted to ask to Kevin and Sam before we wrap it up for the day?
No, I think to me I've been watching sports forever, and one of the things that I noticed recently is this technology used to be reserved for green surface sports. And today we see it, you watch, the Olympics, pretty much every sport, you can see this. You can see it in nautical sports, in snow sports. And that's fantastic. That exciting for you, like to be able to branch out in new sports, but also that's super complex because your operators have to learn an entire new environment.
I think yes. I think with the evolution and revolution of AI, it is becoming easier to have the software by itself calibrate, understand the context, and determine even programmatically what to insert. So it's a very exciting time. It is really it's kind of like I guess there's been iterations, and maybe we're like in generation 4, but it's going to multiply exponentially right now. It's a super exciting time.
It's a great point you make, Gregoire. I would say a couple of years ago, there was probably fear around really challenging environments, whereas now there's excitement about them because we actually would like to push the envelope and test further and have moving cameras, snow, to your point, which was impossible years ago. And so we actually excited for complex deployments and challenging environments.
Yeah. One thing to mention in the Film Like One clip you saw is that's as opposed to the early stages where we could just track on a stationary camera. That is a driving camera, so we can do any kind of motion now. It's all bets are off. Everything is an opportunity for virtualization now. So
fantastic. Awesome. Well, Kevin and Samuel, thank you so much for joining us. It was absolutely terrific conversation. Really enjoyed talking about the tech and where it's all heading. I definitely talk about the implications of how COVID had an implication on the industry a lot, and this is one of the examples I talk about a lot in terms of virtual production and what that's meant for the whole media entertainment industry. For everybody watching, thank you for your engagement. No, we don't have Ferraris. For the person who asked, unfortunately, if the Amazon stock price was 5 times what it is right now, then maybe, but not currently in the budget. But thanks for asking. You'll see a QR code at the top of your screen. Please give us some feedback on how you found today, any other things you'd like us to be doing, another partner you'd like us to be talking to. Kevin and Samuel, thank you so much again for joining us. Really appreciate your time. Wonderful conversation. Look forward to seeing you again soon, and look forward again to the next edition of Industry Live. Thanks, Gregoire, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Thank you very much, guys.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome again to Industries Live. For those of you who are just joining in for the second half of our show, very excited for you to join us this morning for another second half of our show. We're going to have a really interesting conversation with Janel from LiveU. We're going to be talking about a number of different interesting industry problems that LiveU have addressed and are solving for our customers. For those of you who are joining for the first time, Industries Live is our every other Tuesday show where we talk about our industry customers and partners and the interesting industry problems that we're solving that are highly specialized in helping ultimately accelerate our customers' journey using the cloud. And what I love about it is we really get down into the nitty-gritty of some of the great customer stories and understanding how we've really solved interesting problems with the cloud and with our key partners. And today we're talking media entertainment. We're going to be talking live events, which I'm very passionate about and very much enjoy talking about. I'm Michael Schmidt. I look after the Industry and Partner Solutions Center of Excellence here in Seattle, Washington. As I mentioned on the earlier broadcast, the sun is still out in Seattle, Washington, as it was half an hour ago. Spring has sprung here, so everybody's smiling. My team look after really focus on helping partners be successful on the platform with their industry-specific solutions and helping bring them to market, whether it be media entertainment, healthcare and life sciences, financial services, or even emerging industries like mining, or perhaps even semiconductors or aerospace. I love my job. I'm very lucky to be able to talk about interesting customer and partner stories and how they're using the cloud to really disrupt an industry and change the future. And today is a great example of that. So I'm joined by my fabulous co-host, Gregoire. Gregoire, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Michael. I'm joining from LA. I'm Gregoire Rouyer. I am in charge of partner strategy for broadcast and sports at AWS. So supporting startups and companies who've been in the business for a longer time to build amazing solutions for the media industry, in particular for broadcasters and for sports leagues and federations. And today, we're very excited about hosting Janel from LiveU. LiveU is one of these partners that really is everywhere in our industry, and you don't see them directly, you don't notice them on TV. But without LiveU, we would not be able to get the signal from the cameras to the production centers, and very often we will not be able to cut the show and make it an amazing broadcast. So super excited to hear more about how they're doing this, what's behind the scene, what's the magic, and how they're using AWS to do that.
Awesome. Well, let's bring on Janel. While we bring Janel on, please engage with us in the chat. Let us know where you are, where you're connecting in from, and any thoughts and what the weather's like where you are. Janel, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. The weather here, I'm in Florida, so it's hot and sunny, but I'm glad to be joining you guys. Thanks for having me.
I was going to say, you two are both in sunny places, and as somebody once said to me, you don't even talk about the weather because it's always good. People in Seattle talk about the weather way too much because it's not always good. So there you go. Janel, why don't you tell us a little bit about LiveU, and tell us perhaps firstly about yourself, a little bit about yourself, and then tell us a little bit about LiveU.
Yeah, so I've been with LiveU for nearly 8 years now, but my background is in video transmission. I joined to help sort of shift LiveU's market from sort of what we've always done, which is supporting news and ENG-like applications, to sports. So for those of you who are not familiar with LiveU, we're about 18 years old, global company. We really started as a technology replacement for how news acquisition was done, which was, if you've ever watched a movie and you've seen a reporter on scene, there's always a van with a big microwave satellite dish at the top of it. And that's how they, used to acquire content in the field. LiveU invented and is the patent holder of a technology called bonded cellular, which is really quite simply, I'm going to dumb it down, but aggregating LTE and at the time 3G, but now 5G networks, all the various carriers, bonding them together and moving video with that first mile being cellular, but over the public internet reliably and high quality. So now, if you see news reporters in the field, you often see a camera operator with a backpack, which is basically like a satellite in a truck. And that's really what we started with, is really news acquisition. And then in sports, we've really, because connectivity has become more reliable, because internet and available bandwidth has become more readily available, we are shifting our sort of contribution towards sports, and we have been for a while very successfully. And from there, we've spun off a few other products that we found were really the pain points in the landscape of live sports and just live capture in general. So we've leaned heavily on cloud infrastructure to support what we're calling and we're promoting as cloud production, and our version of it, which is really lightweight cloud production. And it's been successful. It's exciting because this is an industry of broadcasters who are very traditional in mindset. So shifting and looking at a cloud versus a hardware infrastructure is a really big mind shift, and the technology really needs to support what many engineers, they're wearing belts and suspenders to keep their pants up. So this is how do I have that same, confidence in a cloud platform versus a physical one? That's always the shift of mindset that we're trying to do.
Nice. I love that. AWS prides itself on being the platform for disruption. So whether it be, Airbnb, Netflix, or Lyft, or whatever it is, I love that story. Gregoire, did you want to throw the next question to Janel?
Sure. So, I mean, you're mentioning that it's really hard to move our industry. Some of our customers who are used to producing news or sports in a certain way. I've been doing it for 30 years. It's really tough to disrupt this. So, but that also means that we have to identify pain points, and we have to bring solutions to these customers. So what solutions are you bringing to our customers, to broadcasters' pain point? What are the angles that you found to drive adoption for this new way of transmitting media, and to drive adoption of lightweight production?
Yeah, I mean, I think our solutions naturally fit into the migration of everybody's looking for efficient workflows to shorten workflows and provide cost reduction without reducing the amount of content that they need to produce to meet the next stage customer demand. So a lot of the conversations I have is, okay, I've used this traditional technology to support, let's say, a primary production of a tier 1 sport, but really I just acquired rights to this tier 2 sport. I want to throw in this pre-game show or post-game show, and can I reuse my resources and people, or is there something I can spin up that helps produce that same content at that same quality level customers want, but is really geared and sort of right-sizing the production tools for the content they have to create? And that's really, I think, where we've been able to, move the adoption faster, is we're aiming at replacing most of the primary productions that people are doing. We're aiming at saying, listen, you have to do a lot more. You may have to do a secondary or a hybrid production of a live event. And this is a tool really built for that demand, and it doesn't require a ton of infrastructure. It doesn't require a huge capital investment. So it allows you to have some freedom and creativity on like what you want to try and what works and what doesn't work. So, to answer your question, it's really looking at it as a enablement tool for most of the new stuff that they're trying to push out there. So I'll give you some examples. When I started 7.5 years ago, LiveU was a news product, and sports would sometimes be like, no thanks. It's for news, not for me, right? So how did I get them to shift their mind to say, no, there's a tool in your toolbox that's sort of complementary to what you've probably always done. And a lot of that was looking at us, okay, just use us as a backup, right? Just look at us as, here, try this encoder, back up your fiber path or back up your satellite path, and start to gain the confidence of the technology and the solution. And slowly that was a fastest way to adopt and start using our stuff for more primary stuff and more ancillary stuff. Of course, the pandemic helped. I think someone on the previous panel even said, it shifted adoption by like 5 years, right? And that's the same for our stuff, right? You were kind of forced, and we couldn't kind of slow roll new stuff to you. You were sort of like, you have to do it now this way, which is great because then people gain the confidence in the solution faster. So with LiveU, we have an ecosystem of products now. So not just contribution, but production and distribution, and all of it is IP centric. And this is a broadcasting industry is, traditionally very hardware focused, SDI, physical infrastructure first. So, introducing IP and cloud, these are all evolutions we've had over the last few years that customers have really not only embraced, but have pushed the boundaries of what they can do over it. So we're seeing, especially in the sports landscape, because of course we love our stick and ball sports, right? Our tier 1 NBA and NHL and NFL, but we're seeing a huge fan focus on the tier 2 and tier 3 sports, which again, our products are sort of perfectly aligned for. So we coined the term lightweight sports production because we're sort of lightweight but heavy hitting. And the idea is that you can deploy our field encoders, use our cloud production and our distribution solutions, all three sort of pillars of our product infrastructure, to pull off a live production. And we focus on minimal operators, minimal cost, and high efficiency. So that sort of mentality is thinking, okay, we understand this is not tier 1 product, but we want it to look as good as possible and be as cost efficient as possible. So this sort of mindset, I think, is what's helped customers see that we're seeing the trends and we're just kind of aligning with it and creating products that helps meet the demand that, again, I think it will continue to grow, if that answers your question.
I love two things that you said there, which I really want to double click on, Janel. Love what you said about, sometimes things happen that we don't expect to change our business. And COVID was definitely one we talked about on the previous call, and you mentioned it again, that obviously had a dramatic impact on your business and what you were seeing in terms of demand from your customers, which is really fascinating. And again, one we talk about a lot. The second thing you talked about there, which I just wanted you to just double click on one more time,
sure,
is industry adjacencies. So you thought your solution is, you think your solution is in its sweet spot in an industry, but then you've got adjacent industries that say, okay, well, we thought our product was for news, but we see opportunities in sports that have the same foundational needs. What else have you seen in terms of demand from other adjacent industries that you see has been an opportunity for your business? And again, what advice would you give to other partners who are looking at how to transition into other industry adjacencies that have a similar foundational set of technical requirements?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So we're, in sports, it was a tweak of a product here, add this feature, add this and that, and really step up support, resiliency, different things. And it wasn't as big a lift as we thought it might be to get our product to meet the demand of this sports market. And now we're seeing, okay, the public sector is actually a very large market that would benefit highly from our technology. That's not necessarily broadcasting and live and commercialized, right? This is really public safety first, and first responders, things where maybe sending out video drones to capture things that are happening for safety of, the public's the officers and whatnot. So we're seeing now, okay, like here's an opportunity to kind of use our technology that helps a different industry. And we expand that, every other year as we see, okay, actually this could work for potentially a house of worship, right? If you're trying to get more of your congregation involved in the church and you want to do live streaming and things like that. So, a lot of people are on their devices. So really the sky's the limit. I think we're in the best industry because we get to bring content to people in any kind of way, in any format that they like to consume it. So in LiveU's world, it's a lot about live or as live, right? Capture it in the moment, bring it to you in the moment or in real time. So for us, it's really just focusing on what's next, what's coming, and like what's missing, and our, at least for LiveU, we have a fantastic R&D team that moves very quickly to adapt to whatever our customers are looking for and the trends. So I think for other partners and people who are looking at it, always explore other options, because even as we level up our product in sports, it complements our news customer base as well, because they also do a lot of sports and they also do a lot of things that are media and entertainment. So music, concerts, other things that our technology now can support. And obviously with the help of AWS being so reliable and resilient, the reputation alone, knowing that we use your services as part of our package helps, bring customers to that level of confidence that, oftentimes all of us have a trouble getting there, especially when it comes to cloud.
And I think we have a demo. So, I mean, you're talking about all these features, everything that this product enables people to do. So why don't we cue the demo?
Yeah, let me.
We're diving into.
Sorry, let me do a quick little preface. So LiveU Studio is our native cloud production solution, which I say native cloud because it's very much in the LiveU ecosystem. You can spin it up and spin it down. There's no infrastructure in a VPC that you have to maintain, right? It's a true native cloud. It's not sort of software implemented in a cloud, right? And that really makes it unique because any LiveU customer, anyone who's not a LiveU customer can spin this up. And when I say cloud production, it's a true virtualized mixer. You're bringing in live sources, you're cutting between these live sources, you're adding graphic elements, you're publishing on social media, all of these elements that a true production switcher would typically do. So I do want to cue this up because these are sort of some features that you may not know is really out there in a native cloud production platform, all supported in AWS. And so sort of we wanted to highlight sort of high level some features that I think people would be very excited to see available on their browser and not necessarily have to have a hardware server installed or buy hardware to actually use. So I'll cue it up.
We're diving into 7 top features that make LiveU Studio a game changer for cloud-based live production. If you're used to expensive hardware and complex setups, now it's all in the cloud. So let's jump in. First up is layer organization. If your production looks a little chaotic with all your sources on one layer, no worries. With one click, you can group your sources by type: live cameras, players, graphics, and more. And for even more control, you can resize each group, making your most used tiles, like live sources, big and bold, so you never miss a beat. This is how you go from cluttered to crystal clear in seconds. Next, let's talk preview and program tiles. Knowing what's on air and what's coming next is an integral part of any production. In LiveU Studio, every input gets a red zone and a green zone. Quick cuts, just click red, and that source goes directly to program. Need to preview a graphic? Load it in green, fine-tune it, and take it live when you're ready. Perfect for fast-paced shows and polished transitions. Need to build a 2-box, a 3-box, or even a 4-box layout fast? Say hello to templates. Choose a layout, pick your inputs, drop in a background, and you're done. Whether it's commentators, guests, or remote feeds, templates help you build professional scenes in seconds. With LiveU Studio Replay Mode, you can become a replay operator on the fly. One click folds in all your live recordings. You can choose your angle, drag the playhead, and go to air, even in slow motion. You can mix in multiple angles for dynamic replays, then just hit your live camera to go right back into the action. Need to bring in a remote commentator or a reporter? Easy. Generate a secure link, you can text it or email it, and they can join straight from their phone or laptop. No software needed. They'll see a low latency return feed and instantly become part of your show. Remote contribution has never been this simple. Click, connect, and go live. Everyone loves a good shortcut. With hotkeys, you can assign any key to control your show. Load scenes, take graphics live, trigger transitions, and much more. You can use your keyboard or devices like an Elgato Stream Deck for fast, intuitive show control. Last, but certainly not least, is publishing. You can push your live show to up to 30 destinations at once. Facebook, Twitch, X, YouTube, LinkedIn, all natively supported. Need linear output? Publish directly to a LiveU server in SDI, NDI, or 2110. You can even stream to RTMP, SRT, HLS, and so many more. Those are just 7 features that make LiveU Studio the ultimate cloud production tool. But there's plenty more. Whether you're running solo or with a crew, LiveU Studio puts studio-grade production in your browser.
All right. So really, I wanted to show it because I think it kind of tickles the brain of like, oh, we're not losing anything in a traditional live production. We're just doing it. We could even get the hardware if you're tactile in nature and you still want that Stream Deck or something to do the actual switching and cutting and transitions. That's all available, right? We've leveled up cloud production to support a broadcaster requirement, which I think is really cool. And it's one of the most, I think, for LiveU in general, really game-changing solutions out there for what we've come up with. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Our encoders are amazing as well, but I think Studio is our best product.
How have you used, like, how have you evolved your offering based on what you're hearing from your customers? Like, I see that it's incredibly feature rich, but you must get asked for a lot of different features from a lot of different use cases and customer requirements. Tell us how you balance that.
Yeah, of course. No one wants to pay for something they don't use, right? So we have to kind of provide options in terms of feature needs that increase and decrease the cost to use. So yeah, we've worked with NFL teams. We've got, I don't know, probably 20 or so NFL teams who only really need to cover press conferences and, post game shows or player interviews where they may want, just a slate to show up before they go live on their press conference and maybe a lower third, but they want to publish to multiple endpoints. So that's sort of a core functionality of Studio. That's a pricing package specific for that use case. Or you're looking at, some of the bigger sport events we do for sort of the tier 2, tier 3 space, like College Golf Network, right? They're doing these golf tournaments for these major, Division I colleges, and they're on large golf courses, right? So they may look at LiveU Studio as, okay, I really needed to have, the ability to switch 12 live sources, following 2 groups that I'm focused on, and I want a replay option, and I'm obviously wanting to generate some sort of revenue. So put Scuddy markers in there so I can play out commercials to my, OVP player. And that's a much more feature rich application, which may include our encoders, right? So, we've, spun up more CPU to support something like that and price point accordingly.
So Janel, I'm glad you mentioned the College Golf Network. Why don't you, I know that was a customer story we were going to talk about this morning. Do you want to walk us through that and tell us a little bit about that story? Yeah,
so they're a perfect example of a customer who's deployed our lightweight sports production solution. And we say lightweight because I know I said in the video it's sort of no hardware, but really you still have to capture the live cameras, right? So how do you do that in an efficient way and bring those into the cloud with minimal staff and engineers and whatnot? So we use our encoders with bonded cellular technology. Here's an LU300, very lightweight. No, I don't know why. Lightweight is going to be the term I use over and over again. But the idea is you plug in a camera source, it's battery powered, and it has network infrastructure already in it, right? It's got a mix of cellular modems that are using our bonding technology, our proprietary transport protocol, LRT, to transmit that live signal, high quality, incredibly low delay, directly into the cloud production environment. It's a native one-to-one transmission. And each camera angle, specifically with college golf, because we know there's 18 holes, and usually in a place with really poor connectivity, or it becomes very expensive to run cabling or even deploying even a small RF footprint. It becomes super costly. So college doesn't have that kind of budget. So this is a way to still capture every possible angle you would want and bring that into a cloud production where the actual operators don't necessarily need to be on site. They don't have to be traveling, a director or a producer or a graphics operator. They just need an internet connection, connect to a browser, and they're a part of the live production. So with college golf, after the few events they do during their season, they just deploy camera operators. Maybe they hire freelancers, provide them with the cameras, the encoders, and they're bringing all those feeds into a LiveU studio where they're cutting. They add their HTML graphic overlays, sync it to their whatever they're using for scoring and metadata, and of course playing out any sort of media file they need for the different universities, right? They typically sponsor these events, and then publishing to, could be ESPN or could be whatever rights holder that tournament has been designated to distribute to, or a streaming destination. So end to end, I've simplified it, but it is quite simple and lightweight. I'm going to end it on lightweight because I have to say that word.
Nice. I mean, it's funny you should say that. I remember talking to another golf sports production organization that talked a lot about how much fiber you have to lay on a golf course to do a full-blown production of a golf event. And so this is really like a game changer in terms of just eliminating that. Like, it's miles and miles and miles and miles and miles, I think. And as you said, quite often, cellular coverage on golf courses is not great, sometimes by design. So your bonding technology sounds as though it's a huge differentiator there to be able to make the best of what's available and still produce a game-changing event. Janel, fantastic. Really, really enjoyed the demos and talking about the stories. So many interesting use cases that I can see coming from what LiveU is doing. We've got a couple more minutes left. Just as we wrap it up, if we could put the QR code up, if you want to give us feedback and on what you want to see more of in Industries Live, and any feedback for LiveU and any follow-ups, please hit us up. Any last minute words for you, Gregoire, and Janel? Anything last minute you want to share with the viewers before we wrap up?
I think this LiveU is a perfect illustration of how AWS-based solution can solve major inefficiencies. Like, if you think about the traditional way we produce a sports event for TV, it's incredibly inefficient, with a lot of travel, driving trucks to remote areas, a lot of people flying over to produce a show, a lot of beaming up and down a signal from a truck to a satellite back to a facility, back up, when really everything you need is a backpack, get a signal to AWS, and people can access it from multiple places and broadcast it to multiple places.
Absolutely. Yeah. And LiveU has a pretty robust ecosystem of products, and it's modular in nature. So I always say we take consultative approaches to any idea you have of live production. So because we have the ability to deploy these field units sort of anywhere there's cellular, or even if there's access to the sky, right? We've done this with various LEO satellite providers. The only limitation is really how creative you can get. So it's exciting to be a part of this world and really enabling more content and to more fans. So I'm excited to see where it goes and join you guys and the great partnership that AWS has helped move us along with.
Well, Janel, I was just about to wrap up with key takeaways, but I think you just did it for me. Thank you so much. We thoroughly enjoyed the conversation again. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope for the viewers you found it really interesting. Again, please engage with the QR code and give us feedback. And we really enjoyed hosting you again on Industries Live. Again, absolutely love spending every second Tuesday. Next Tuesday, or every in 2 weeks, we're going to be I think we have NVIDIA on. We're talking about fraud and event recovery, which is going to be, again, a very interesting topic to talk about financial services. Thanks for joining us. Gregoire, Janel, thanks for your time. everybody have a wonderful week, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time on Industries Live. See you. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.